and welcome to Gardening with Ben. In today's episode we're going to be talking about what can be planted in September. This will range from vegetables, fruit and flowers. So sit back, relax and enjoy today's episode. So as you can see, we're not at the allotment today, but we don't need to be at the allotment to explain about what can be grown and what can be sown in September. We are in September now. So in this episode we're going to go through what vegetables, what fruit and what flowers can be grown this month. So we're going to start off with garlic. Now last year I couldn't manage to get hold of any garlic from the garden centres, whether it was because of lockdown and stuff like that, so I couldn't get hold of any garlic from the garden centres. So all I did was go to my local supermarket, can't mention the name, and I bought the largest bulbs in there, just normal garlic at like 25 pence a pop. So I bought the largest ones, split them cloves up and planted them outdoors, and they did really well this year. So I'm going to be doing the same again this year. So now in September is the time to be planting your garlic, because it needs cold weather to help it split and become the cloves once it grows. So you want to be planting that around this time towards the end of September. The next one is green manure. Green manure is what you can sow in your empty beds over winter, in the beds that you're not using, and then what you do is it helps prevent weeds from growing, because it'll fill it all your beds and it'll stop any weeds from growing in there, and it will help put the nutrients back into the soil, because you chop it down and you dig it back into the soil, and it helps get the nutrients in there to provide better crops or other things to grow really. So yeah. The next up is Pak Choi. These can be sown in the polytunnel this month for harvesting through the autumn. So if you're lucky enough to have a polytunnel, you can sow them in there, and you can be picking baby leaves for your salad all the way up to autumn time. Now lettuce. You can grow winter varieties of lettuce outside straight in the ground this month. If you're lucky to have a polytunnel and a cold frame, you could possibly try normal lettuce in there, as it's still warm and it will stay warmer in there until probably end of October, November, and you probably can still be picking crops. And there's little methods as well to help keep your polytunnel warmer as well through the winter time, to help keep it just a few degrees warmer. That few degrees can make the world of a difference. Next up is onions. If you've wanted to fill a bed through the autumn, you can get autumn varieties of onions. These can be sown this month, and you will be harvesting them possibly early June into July. This probably is the final month to be planting your radishes. Radishes are one of the fastest growing vegetables, so you will be able to harvest them in time before the cold weather comes. So if you sow some radish now, straight into the ground, water them, keep them watered, hopefully it will get some warm weather in September, and you will be able to harvest them in time. Next up is salad leaves. You can sow these straight into the ground now, and you can be harvesting them all the way up to autumn before the cold weather comes, which will probably kill the plants off. Obviously if you want to put cloches over them, or whether you want to grow them in a cold frame or a polytunnel, you can get a bit longer out of there. So salad leaves can be sown this month. Spinach. This can be grown in a polytunnel or in a greenhouse. Planting it indoors, you'll be able to harvest it through the autumn and the springtime. not springtime, through the winter, through the autumn and the winter, not the springtime. But yeah, it'll be nice and warm to keep it growing in there, and you can just be harvesting it as and when you want, whether you want to grow it in tubs, in the ground. Obviously if you grow it in tubs, it won't get as cold as what it would do in the ground, because the ground gets colder than it would do in tubs. But if you grow it in tubs, you've got to keep it watered more, obviously. Spring cabbage. These can be sown this month into small plant pots or in seed trays, but make sure they're kept warm in the greenhouse. You can't be planting them out yet, but you can be sowing them this month in the greenhouse or polytunnel. Spring onions. You can get winter hard ate spring onions, and these can be grown straight into the ground this month, and you can be picking them in springtime, hence the word spring onions. So if you look out for those winter varieties of spring onions, you'll be able to harvest them in springtime, one of the first veg that you could be harvesting. And turnips, these can be sown this month as well. So you can sow these straight into the ground, and you can be harvesting turnips later on in the year. So if you want to fill those beds up, get some lovely turnips in, and you could be having them in with your mashed potato if you enjoy that sort of thing. So that is basically what vegetable seeds can be sown this month. Make sure you click that subscribe button, because we'll be posting a video on what flower seeds can be sown this month as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Remember to do click that subscribe button. Feel free to share the video as well if you want. And remember, as always, keep gardening.